Welcome to Prime Cyber Insights. We're opening today with a pretty grim outlook on transparency. The Identity Theft Resource Center says corporate disclosure is on life support, even as data compromises surged 79% over the last 5 years. We are seeing this play out right now with two massive stories: the Conduent breach, which might be the largest in U.S. history, and a major data leak at fintech giant Figure Technology.
It's a heavy start, Aaron. To help us navigate these layers, joining us today is Chad Thompson, who brings a systems-level perspective on AI and security, blending technical depth with creative insight from engineering and music production. Chad, welcome. Before we dive into the technicals, the Conduent numbers are just staggering. Oregon and Texas alone are reporting over 14.5 million people affected, with medical data and social security numbers exposed.
Lauren, it's great to be here. The Conduent situation is a textbook case of systemic risk. Hackers were in their network for 84 days. When you serve half the Fortune 100, that kind of dwell time translates to a catastrophic blast radius. We're not just looking at a breach, we're looking at a 3-month window where sensitive government and medical data was essentially an open book.
And Figure Technology isn't faring much better. Troy Hunt confirmed nearly 1 million unique emails were exposed after the Shiny Hunters group posted 2.5 gigabytes of data. Lauren, the ITRC report says attackers are shifting away from mega breaches toward these targeted attacks on high-value repositories. It makes the lack of corporate transparency even more dangerous for the individuals whose data is being repackaged for scams.
Exactly. And that repackaging is exactly what we're seeing with tax season scams. Criminals are using records from as far back as 2021 to personalize IRS impersonations. But even as we secure the perimeter, the tools we use are failing us. Microsoft confirmed bug CW1226324, where Copilot was summarizing confidential emails despite data loss prevention policies being in place. Aaron, this hits right at the heart of enterprise trust in AI.
That Copilot bug is significant because it bypassed intentional security labels. It's not just Microsoft either. Researchers at Endor Labs just found 6 vulnerabilities in the OpenClaw AI assistant, including SSRF and authentication bypass flaws. Traditional security tools are essentially blind to these LLM to tool flows. We're building these incredibly powerful assistants on top of conversation states that aren't being properly audited for security boundaries.
It's a gap that threat actors are already exploiting. Turning to the browser, Google just issued an emergency patch for the first Chrome 0 day of 2026, CVE 2026-2441. It's a high-severity CSS component flaw that was exploited in the wild before the fix was out. Lauren, we've also got Apple fixing a sophisticated 0 day in their dynamic link editor that impacts everything from iPhones to macOS Tahoe.
The urgency to update is real, Aaron. Beyond our personal devices, CISA is sounding the alarm on Honeywell CCTV products. A critical vulnerability discovered by Suvik Kanda allows unauthenticated attackers to hijack accounts by simply changing the recovery email. In a critical infrastructure setting, having your security cameras compromised is a worst-case scenario. It's, a missing authentication flaw that should not exist in 2026.
It speaks to the fragmentation we're seeing. Look at the ransomware data from Searchlight Cyber, a record 7,458 victims last year and 124 active groups. Even though payments are down because victims are refusing to pay, the barrier to entry is lower because of AI. Syndicates are fracturing into smaller, more agile cells, making them harder to track even as their individual success rate for social engineering increases.
Harder to track and less transparent. That seems to be the theme of the year so far. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the Conduent record breaker to the foundational flaws in our AI assistants. Chad, thank you for joining us to break down these systems-level challenges.
Remember to check your browser versions and stay vigilant as tax season continues to ramp up. For more resources and the full technical breakdown, head over to pci.neuralnewscast.com. We'll be back next week with more analysis. Thanks for listening. Neural Newscast is AI-assisted, human-reviewed. View our AI transparency policy at neuralnewscast.com.